The gift card slid across the desk, hitting my folder of evidence with a pathetic tap. $30. A wrinkled rectangle of plastic with the generic coffee shop logo stamped on it. I'd spent 3 months unearthing a $2 million error, and he couldn't even be bothered to hand it to me properly. Nice work on those spreadsheets, Devin said, already turning back to his computer. His voice dripped with the same condescension he used when talking to the cleaning staff. Maybe next time you'll catch something actually important. I stared at the card. 300 hours of unpaid overtime. Thousands of shipping manifests cross-referenced against client contracts. A complete solution that would recover millions in revenue. And my reward was barely enough to cover 4 days of coffee. The humiliation burned worse than anger. I'd stayed when everyone else went home. I'd skipped my cousin's wedding to finish the analysis. I'd built a case so airtight that even our notoriously skeptical finance team had verified my findings within hours. And Devin hadn't even looked at my presentation. "Thank you," I said, the words tasting like ash. I picked up the gift card, sliding it into my pocket as Devin's phone rang. He swiveled his chair away from me. Dismissal complete. I'm Marin Avery, 32 years old, data analyst, invisible woman. At least, that's what they thought. Before I go any further with my story, could you please take a moment to tell me in the comments where you're watching from? I want to know how far this reaches. And if what happened to me resonates with you, please hit like and subscribe. Trust me, you'll want to see how this ends. I didn't slam Devin's door on my way out. I didn't cry in the bathroom. I didn't quit dramatically. That's what he expected, an emotional response he could use to further diminish me. Women, am I right? I could already hear him saying it to Taz and Gerard, his management buddies. Instead, I smiled at Willow, his assistant, and walked calmly back to my desk in the analytics pit, a cramped space where 6 of us worked elbow to elbow, while the executives enjoyed private offices with windows overlooking the river. I opened my email and sent a message to Zara Ndiaye, the procurement director at Fullerton Transport Group. Available to meet Thursday? Found something you should know about. Zara was our biggest client. They generated 40% of our company's annual revenue. During my 3-month deep dive, I'd uncovered that they'd been systematically overcharged by $180,000 due to the same billing errors I'd identified. I hadn't included this in my presentation to Devin. Something in my gut told me to hold it back. My computer pinged with Zara's reply. "Coffee at 10? The place across from your building?" I confirmed, feeling the gift card press against my thigh through my pocket. That night, I didn't sleep. Not from anxiety, but from precision planning. I exported specific reports, carefully documenting every overcharge, every missed credit, every penny that Fullerton Transport had overpaid. I created a timeline showing exactly when the errors began. And I noted every instance where concerns about billing discrepancies had been raised and dismissed by Devin. Devin Marsh, Senior Operations Director, 8 years at the company. The untouchable golden boy who'd been hired by the CEO himself after they met at some exclusive club. Devin had no logistics experience before joining us, but somehow managed to fail upward year after year while people like me, people with actual skills, remained stuck. His annual bonus last year was $87,000. I made $58,000 total. When the gift card fell from my wallet the next morning as I paid for breakfast, I photographed it. Evidence. I chose my outfit carefully that Thursday. Not the expected woman trying to look powerful uniform. No statement, jewelry, or designer knockoffs. Just clean lines, neutral colors, quiet competence. I didn't want Zara focusing on anything but the numbers. The coffee shop buzzed with morning energy as I arrived 15 minutes early to secure a corner table. I ordered a plain coffee, nothing fancy, and waited. Zara arrived exactly on time, her presence commanding attention without effort. "Marin, good to finally meet in person," she said, extending her hand. We'd only ever communicated by email before, when I needed clarification on contract details during my analysis. "Thank you for coming," I replied, my voice steadier than I expected. After brief pleasantries, I opened my laptop. "What I'm about to show you is difficult. I'm risking my job by being here, but I believe in doing what's right. Zara's expression shifted from casual interest to intense focus. Go on. For the past 3 years, your company has been systematically overcharged by mine. I turned the screen toward her, showing the first spreadsheet. These are the contractual rates. I clicked to the next screen. And these are what you've actually been billed. For the next 45 minutes, I walked her through everything. The billing algorithm error that added a 3.8% surcharge to every Fullerton shipment. The fuel adjustment calculations that never adjusted downward when prices fell. The volume discounts that were never applied despite Fullerton exceeding the thresholds by millions. This totals $179,846 that your company is owed in refunds, I concluded. Plus interest, arguably. Zara hadn't touched her coffee. And your company discovered this when? The question I'd been waiting for. I pulled out my phone and showed her the photo of the gift card. I discovered these errors 3 months ago. I spent nights and weekends documenting everything, creating reports, and building a solution to fix the system. I presented my findings to my director on Tuesday. I paused. This was my reward. Her eyes narrowed. $30? For saving the company $2 million annually. Yes. And was my company's overcharge situation included in your report? No. I held that back. Why? I met her gaze directly. Because I knew they wouldn't care about doing right by you. They'd only care about protecting themselves. She nodded slowly, understanding the unspoken message. I wasn't just a whistleblower. I was someone who'd been pushed too far. May I have copies of these reports? She asked. I handed her a flash drive. Everything's here, including the original contracts, billing statements, and my analysis. What do you want, Marin? She asked, pocketing the drive. That question surprised me. I hadn't thought about what I wanted beyond being recognized, valued. I want people who do good work to be respected. I want leaders who care about integrity, not just profits. She studied me for a long moment. That's refreshingly non-transactional. We parted with a handshake, and I returned to work, my heart pounding but my expression neutral. Devin didn't even look up when I passed his office. Over the next week, I worked as usual, analyzed shipping data, attended team meetings, nodded politely at Devin's recycled jokes. No one noticed anything different about me, because no one really noticed me at all. Then on Wednesday, exactly 6 days after my coffee with Zara, the CEO's assistant emailed the entire company. Mandatory all-hands meeting, 2 p.m., main conference room. The room was packed when I arrived. I stood against the back wall, watching Devin and the other directors arrange themselves importantly at the front. Their faces showed confusion. Clearly, they hadn't been briefed either. Our CEO, Randall Walsh, entered without his usual forced joviality. His expression was granite as he took his position at the front. I'll make this brief, he said, his voice cutting through the murmurs. Fullerton Transport Group has terminated their contract with us, effective immediately. The room erupted in shocked whispers. Devin's face paled. Furthermore, Randall continued, raising his voice, Velocity Shipping, Archer Freight, and Kai Logistics have all given notice they will not be renewing their contracts next month. I did the mental calculation. Those 4 clients represented nearly 70% of our company's revenue. $2.8 million annually, gone. The stated reason, Randall said, his gaze sweeping the room, is fundamental trust issues with billing practices and corporate integrity. Devin looked like he might vomit. His eyes darted frantically around the room as if searching for someone to blame. I've called an emergency board meeting for tomorrow, Randall concluded. Department heads, I expect full audits of all client accounts on my desk by 9 a.m. That's all. The room exploded into panicked discussion as he left. I slipped out quietly, returning to my desk while chaos erupted around me. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Thank you for your honesty, Z. I didn't smile. This wasn't about joy. This was about consequences. 2 hours later, my desk phone rang. It was Randall's assistant. The CEO would like to see you immediately. Walking to his office felt like moving through water. Not from fear, but from the strange sense of destiny. I'd set something in motion that couldn't be stopped. Randall wasn't alone. Devin sat across from him, along with Patrice from legal and Vihan from finance. "Marin," Randall said, gesturing to an empty chair. "Please sit." Devin wouldn't look at me. His leg bounced nervously under the table. "Zara Ndiaye from Fullerton Transport called me personally this morning," Randall began. She had quite a story to tell. About billing discrepancies, about systematic overcharges, about a dedicated employee who worked for months to identify a critical error in our systems. He slid a folder across the table, my complete presentation, the one Devin had ignored. She also mentioned a $30 gift card. Devin finally looked at me, his expression a mix of fury and fear. "Is what she told me accurate?" Randall asked. I nodded. Every word. "Why didn't you bring this to me directly?" I met his gaze. "With respect, sir, I followed proper channels. I reported to my director. It wasn't my place to bypass the chain of command." Devin found his voice. "She's manipulating the situation. She deliberately went behind our backs to clients." "After you dismissed her findings," Vihan interrupted, flipping through my report. "These numbers are solid. The analysis is impeccable. We could have fixed this." "I want to be very clear," I said, my voice steady. "I never asked Fullerton or any other client to terminate their relationship with us. I simply showed them the billing errors affecting their account and explained that when I brought the overall issue to management's attention, it was dismissed." Patrice from legal winced. "The gift card was real?" Randall asked Devin directly. Devin's face flushed. "It was appropriate recognition for someone at her level. She's just an analyst. The system issues would have been handled by IT and finance, not her." "The system issues she identified that were costing us millions," Randall clarified, his voice dangerously quiet. "I was going to address it. I just didn't think it was as urgent as she was making it out to be." The lie hung between us. I said nothing, letting his words damage him more than mine ever could. Randall turned to me. "Marin, I'd like you to join a meeting with Fullerton tomorrow. We need to try to salvage this relationship, and you're clearly the person they trust." Devin's mouth fell open. "But I'm the account director. I should be—" "You're suspended pending review," Randall cut him off, effective immediately. I wish I could tell you I felt vindicated in that moment, but honestly, I just felt tired. 3 months of late nights, years of being overlooked, of watching people like Devin fail upward while people like me stayed invisible. As the meeting ended, Devin caught up to me in the hallway, grabbing my arm. "You think you've won?" he hissed, his fingers digging into my skin. "You have no idea who you're dealing with. I made this company what it is. You're nothing." I looked down at his hand until he released me. "You did this to yourself," I said quietly. "I just showed everyone who you really are." He stepped back as if I'd struck him. "This isn't over." But it was. He just didn't know it yet. The next morning, I woke up to 3 missed calls from Devin and a LinkedIn request from Randall himself. I ignored both. I dressed carefully for the Fullerton meeting. Nothing showy, just crisp and professional. My mother always said presentation matters when you're asking for forgiveness. Not that I was the one who needed to apologize. The conference room was tense when I arrived. Randall sat with Vihan and Patrice on one side of the table. Across from them were Zara and 2 men I recognized from Fullerton's executive team photos, their CFO and COO. "Marin, thank you for joining us," Randall said, gesturing to the empty chair beside him, the seat that would have been Devin's. For 4 hours, we dissected every aspect of the billing issues. I walked everyone through my findings again, answering questions with the confidence that comes from knowing your work is bulletproof. Occasionally, Randall would glance at me with an expression I couldn't quite read, something between respect and wariness. "We're prepared to issue a full refund of the $179,846 plus 5% interest," Randall finally said, "and implement all the system corrections Marin has identified." Zara looked at her colleagues before responding. "The money isn't our primary concern. It's the trust. How do we know this won't happen again?" "We're restructuring our operations department," Randall said carefully, and implementing quarterly external audits. Who will oversee those changes? Fullerton's CFO asked. Randall hesitated just long enough for me to notice. We're still determining. If it's not Marin, we're not interested, Zara interrupted. She's the only person in your organization who's demonstrated integrity. The room went silent. I felt 5 pairs of eyes turn to me. I'm just an analyst, I said, echoing Devon's dismissive words with deliberate irony. According to some. Zara almost smiled. Not anymore, I think. After the meeting, Randall asked me to stay behind. He closed the door and stood looking out the window for a long moment. You've put me in quite a position, he finally said. I did my job, I replied. Nothing more. He turned to face me. You could have brought this directly to me. Would you have listened? Or would you have sent me back to Devon, telling me to work through proper channels? His silence was answer enough. I'd like to offer you a new position, he said. Director of Compliance and Client Relations, reporting directly to me. I'd imagined this moment, dreamed of it, the recognition, the promotion, the validation. Now that it was happening, I felt nothing but hollow. Why? I asked. Because we need you. You need what I represent to Fullerton, I corrected. You need to show them you've elevated the whistleblower, so they'll trust you again. His expression tightened. That's not fair. Neither was that gift card. He sighed, suddenly looking older. The position is real, Marin. So is the 40% salary increase that comes with it. You've earned it. Take the weekend to think about it. I nodded and left, walking past Devon's empty office. Willow was boxing up his awards, her eyes red. He's not coming back, is he? She asked when she saw me. I don't know, I answered honestly. That night, I turned off my phone and sat on my tiny apartment balcony, watching the city lights and thinking about choices, about power, about what happens when someone with nothing left to lose decides to reclaim their worth. Monday morning, I arrived at work to find my desk cleared and a new nameplate waiting. Marin Avery, Director of Compliance and Client Relations. A corner office had been emptied for me. Not Devon's, but close enough to see his door from my new window. For 2 weeks, I worked 16-hour days, rebuilding client trust and implementing the billing fixes I'd designed. Fullerton signed a new contract, contingent on quarterly reviews conducted personally by me. 3 other clients followed their lead. The company stabilized. Devon remained suspended, his presence a ghost in the building. I heard rumors he was consulting a lawyer, claiming wrongful punishment. Others said he was drinking too much, blaming me to anyone who would listen. I didn't care. I had work to do. Then came the email from an address I didn't recognize. You ruined my life. We should talk. D. I deleted it. 3 more followed over the next week, each more desperate than the last. I forwarded them to Patrice in legal without comment. Do you want to file a harassment complaint? She asked when she called me. No, I said. Just documenting the pattern. She was quiet for a moment. He's meeting with Randall tomorrow, trying to get his job back. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not from fear, but from a cold, clear understanding of what needed to happen next. Dawn found me at my kitchen table, surrounded by printouts and post-it notes, building the case that would end this completely. I arrived at work early, wearing the only designer outfit I owned purchased years ago for a cousin's wedding. I knocked on Randall's door at 7:30 in the morning. Do you have a minute? I asked. He looked surprised but waved me in. Devon's not due until 9. That's why I'm here now. I placed a folder on his desk. Before you meet with him, you need to see this. Inside was evidence I'd been quietly gathering since my first day in my new role. Access logs showing Devon had known about the billing errors a year before I discovered them. Emails where clients had questioned their invoices, forwarded to Devon, never addressed. Calendar entries showing meetings with IT where they'd flagged the exact issue I later uncovered. Meetings Devon had canceled. He knew, I said simply. He knew, and he chose to ignore it because fixing it would have revealed his previous oversight. He was protecting himself at the company's expense. Randall flipped through the pages, his expression darkening. Where did you get this? I have access to all client communication now, and system logs. These records were always there, just no one with both the motivation and authority to connect them before. He closed the folder. Why show me this now? Because you're considering bringing him back, and I want you to make that decision with complete information. Not bringing him back would be your preference, he stated. I met his gaze steadily. My preference is working for a company where accountability matters and merit is rewarded. What happens with Devin will show me whether that's this company or not. I left him with the folder and went to my office, closing the door. Through my window, I could see Devin arrive at 8:45, looking thinner but wearing an expensive new suit. He strode through the office like he already had his job back, nodding at former colleagues who awkwardly avoided his eyes. At 9 o'clock, he entered Randall's office. At 9:17, the shouting started muffled but unmistakable through the walls. At 9:22, Devin stormed out, face contorted with rage. He stopped when he saw me watching through my office window. For a moment, I thought he might charge through my door. Instead, he mouthed two words I could read clearly from the distance. Watch out. I didn't flinch. I didn't look away. I simply nodded once, acknowledging his threat without giving it power. That afternoon, a company-wide email announced Devin's termination for cause, effective immediately. No details were provided, but the message was clear in its finality. I expected to feel triumph. Instead, I felt a strange sense of emptiness. This had never been about destroying Devin. It had been about being seen, valued, heard. 3 days later, I found out what watch out meant. An anonymous email went to everyone in the company with screen captures of my personal social media harmless posts taken out of context to make me look unprofessional. Comments about being tired twisted to suggest I was slacking. A picture of me at a concert captioned to imply I was unstable. People whispered. Some avoided me in the halls. Others made a point of showing support. I didn't dignify it with a response. I simply kept working. The next attack came through industry channels' rumors that I had fabricated the billing issues to advance my career, that I had manipulated client relationships for personal gain. Zara called me directly. Someone's making noise about you in our professional circles. Devin, I said. Obviously. Do you want me to shut it down? I considered this. No. Let him show who he really is. The rumors faded when they gained no traction. Devin's credibility was shot, and mine was backed by irrefutable data, but he wasn't finished. 6 weeks after his termination, I received a certified letter from a law firm. Devin was suing me personally for defamation, intentional interference with business relationships, and emotional distress. He wanted $1.5 million in damages. Patrice from legal appeared in my office minutes after I opened it. Randall's already approved outside counsel for your defense. The company will cover everything. He's not suing the company? No, just you. It's a tactic. He knows we'll protect you, and he's hoping for a quick settlement to make it go away. And will we settle? I asked. She hesitated. Randall thinks we should consider it. Legal battles are expensive and distract from business. That night, I sat on my balcony again. The lawsuit papers spread before me. Devin thought he could still win, that the system would protect him, a man with connections and a prestigious title against someone like me. I called Zara. I need advice, I said when she answered, as someone who's navigated corporate politics longer than I have. She listened as I explained the situation. What does your gut tell you? She asked when I finished. That settling means he wins, that he'll take the money and tell everyone I had to pay him off because his claims were true. Then don't settle, she said simply. Fight. The company wants this to go away. Do you? I thought about it. No. I want him to face the consequences of his actions. Completely. Then make that happen, she said, and let me know if you need a character witness. The next morning, I declined the settlement option. Randall called me into his office, concerned. This could get ugly, he warned. Litigation is unpredictable. So is letting someone like Devin think they can bully their way back to power? I replied. I'm prepared for what comes next. What came next was discovery. Devin's lawyers demanded every email, every document, every communication I'd had about him or the billing issues. They deposed me for 8 hours, asking the same questions in different ways, trying to trip me up. I remained calm, answering truthfully, never rising to their provocations. I had nothing to hide. Then came our counter-discovery, and that's when everything changed. Devin had been careless. In his personal emails, accessed legally through the discovery process, we found messages to friends bragging about how he'd ignored some billing thing, because fixing it would make his previous reports look bad. Complaints about that uptight analyst who kept pushing for corrections. And most damning, a message sent the day after he gave me the gift card. Gave her 30 for her trouble. Should keep her quiet while I figure out how to take credit for the fix later. His case collapsed. His lawyers approached ours about dropping the suit quietly. Not good enough, I told our attorney. I want a public retraction and apology. Devin refused. The case proceeded to the brink of trial before he finally conceded, signing a statement acknowledging that all my actions had been truthful and professional, and that his claims were without merit. The statement was distributed to everyone who had received his original rumors. 2 days later, I received another email from him. Are you happy now? You've destroyed everything. I didn't respond. His words no longer had power over me. 6 months after the gift card slid across the desk, I sat in my office, now larger, with a team of 4 analysts reporting to me, reviewing a proposal from Fullerton for expanded services. Our company had recovered from the crisis, leaner but more profitable with transparent billing practices and stronger client relationships. A knock at my door interrupted my work. It was Randall. Got a minute? I nodded, gesturing to the chair across from me. I've been approached about a CEO position at another company, he said without preamble. I'm taking it. I wasn't surprised. The board had never fully trusted him again after the billing scandal. Congratulations, I said. Before I go, I wanted to say something. He paused, choosing his words carefully. What you did, standing up when it would have been easier to stay quiet, it changed how I think about leadership, about accountability. I waited, knowing there was more. The board is considering internal candidates to replace me, he continued. Your name is on the shortlist. I didn't react outwardly, though my heart raced. Why are you telling me this? Because you should be prepared. Not everyone will support your candidacy. Some still see you as too inexperienced, too disruptive. Too female? I added. His slight wince confirmed it. What do you think? I asked. I think you're exactly what this company needs, he said, standing to leave. Someone who values truth over comfort, integrity over expediency. He paused at the door. The final interviews are next month. I've already submitted my recommendation. After he left, I turned to my window, watching people move through the office beyond. Some were the same colleagues who had barely noticed me a year ago. Others were new hires, brought in during the restructuring. All of them now part of a company being reshaped by the ripple effects of one person refusing to be invisible. The board ultimately chose someone else for CEO, the CFO, from a competing firm with 20 years more experience than me. I wasn't surprised or even disappointed. My time would come. Meanwhile, I received a different offer from Zara. Fullerton was creating a new executive role, Chief Integrity Officer. They wanted me. The salary was double what I currently made. The responsibilities aligned perfectly with my strengths. The people were straight shooters who valued what I brought to the table. I accepted. On my last day, I cleared out my office under the watchful eyes of IT security standard procedure for departing employees with access to sensitive information. As I carried my small box of personal items through the building, people stopped to wish me well. Some hugged me, others simply nodded with respect. At my car, I found Willow waiting. I heard you're going to Fullerton, she said. News travels fast. She handed me an envelope. This was in Devin's desk when I cleaned it out. I wasn't sure what to do with it, but I think you should have it. Inside was a post-it note in Devin's handwriting, dated 2 years earlier. Billing algorithm problem affecting major accounts? Look into later. He had known all along. Thank you, I said, tucking it away. Evidence of a bullet dodged. No, Willow replied. Thank you. Things are different here now. Better. As I drove away, I didn't look back, not because I was bitter or angry, but because my focus was forward, on building something new, on creating spaces where people like me, people who do the work, who spot the errors, who care about doing things right, are valued from the start, not just after they've proven they can't be ignored. Devin? I heard he struggled to find equivalent work. His reputation followed him. Eventually, he took a position several levels down from his previous role, at a much smaller company. Sometimes, when I'm speaking at industry events, I spot him in the audience, watching me with a complex expression, part anger, part grudging respect. I don't acknowledge him. He no longer matters in my story. The gift card? I kept it, never spent it. It sits in my desk drawer as a reminder that my worth isn't determined by what others think I deserve, but by what I know I bring to the table. $2 million saved, $30 offered, an entire company transformed in the aftermath. If you're watching this and you've ever been overlooked, undervalued, dismissed, know that your worth isn't measured by those who fail to see it. Your moment will come when you refuse to shrink yourself to make others comfortable, when you stand in your truth even as they try to rewrite it. If my story resonated with you, please hit like and leave a comment below sharing a time when you stood up for yourself. Subscribe to see more stories of underestimated people changing the game. Because trust me, we're everywhere, quietly transforming workplaces that never saw us coming, and our stories deserve to be told.